Hello, everyone. Uh, Thank you for joining this webinar. Uh, we will be starting the webinar pretty shortly, just giving a minute for more people to join. In case you're not aware, we are doing this webinar on the topic cutting down tax filing stress for your staff. So just give us a more minute and we'll start the session pretty quickly. I see more people joining in. It's good to know that. I think it's a good time to start with the event. Hi, everyone. My name is Shobit Gaur. I'm the product marketing manager at greytHR, and I will be your host for this event called Cutting Down Tax Filing Stress for Your Staff. When it comes to taxes, I have a favorite quote. It's by Benjamin Franklin. It's called Only Two Things in Life Are Certain: Death and Taxes. As growing up in my professional life, the topic for income tax would always bring uncertainty and stress in my life. I would always keep asking questions, was never sure whether I'm doing it right, and I would always pray that I'm getting it right. Until I met like kind HR and they showed me how to go about doing it the right way. That's why I have great conviction in this topic that it has a lot of value for people. I'm so happy that so many HRs have joined our webinar and they care so much about the financial wellness of their employees. It's very good to know that. Without any delay, I want to start off the webinar by introducing our speakers. We have Megha Jain with us. Megha Jain joins us from ClearTax. She is a senior tax specialist with over 10 years of experience helping people resolve their issues when it comes to income tax. Before this, she used to work at a top four accountancy company. Apart from Megha, we are also joined by my colleague Amal, who will help us make this webinar more actionable. This webinar will be divided into three parts. First is a lively question and answer section, almost a conversation around the most frequently asked doubts or questions on income tax. So you or your employees can really get benefit from the answers coming from an expert. The second section would be us making this knowledge more actionable for you by showing you how you can do it in greytHR app itself, how your employees can file taxes in greytHR app. And the third section would be for Q&A. Any questions you have, please ask us these questions. A little bit of how to interact with this particular webinar. On Zoom, on bottom of your screen, you must be seeing a big section for Q&A. In case you have your questions, please ask those questions in this section. We'll take it up with our expert. Right. And time for us to start this webinar by making it more interactive and launching a poll. Remy, if you could help launch the poll, we'll kick off the webinar.
Yes, sure.
I hope you're able to see the poll on your screen. The question is, does filing ITR have any correlation with travel or loan applications? Please select the answer you think is correct. Would love to know what people think about it. And I would love to personally ask this question from Megha as well, because I'm very interested in this topic.
Sure, Shobit. That's a very great question, in fact. So we'll just await the answers. We'll just await the polls and then we'll deep dive in.
Right. Just a few more seconds. I would request everybody who's joining in, please participate in this poll. We will share the results and the correct answer with you in a matter of seconds. All right. I think we're ending the poll now, and the dominant answer is yes. ITR seems to have a correlation with travel or loan applications. So, Megha, what is this correlation? I didn't know about this until like days back. What's the benefit of filing ITR, and what's the connection with, things as diverse as loans and travel visa? What's the connection here?
Sure. Yes. First of all, kudos to the audience, Shobit. I think a lot of them are aware of, their taxes and the importance. So it is really nice to see this awareness. But yeah, let me elaborate a little why ITR plays a very important role besides other things with respect to your travel, your loan and visa. First, with respect to loan. So whenever you're planning to apply for a home loan or even a personal loan for that matter, we know that banks ask for guarantees and bank also asks for income proof. Now, how do you tell banks what is your income proof? So your ITR stands as a conclusive proof of what your income is, and basis that your loan gets sanctioned. And they also see, along with your loan, your ITR also helps the banks to assess if you have any losses that have to be carried forward, or they help you. The assessment is very, very clear with respect to your loans. So it becomes very easy for the banks to process your loan and also let you know whether the loan that you have applied for, can the banks actually sanction that amount, or there has to be an adjustment. Now, coming to your visa applications, again, it serves a two-way purpose. The first is, again, if you're traveling to a lot of Western countries, for example, the US or the European nations, for tourism purposes, in that case also, the banks or the visa processing companies, they ask for your ITR to see if you have sufficient income so that your international travel can be supported. And also a lot of other countries where you want to move, either for the purposes of your future job prospects or travel, they also ask your ITR because they want to see what is your financial standing. So these are the two predominant reasons why we tell our client base that please go ahead and file that ITR. You never know when that ITR will come helpful. A lot of people simply think, okay, let me not file my ITR, TDS is being done. There's no point. But then no, there is always a point. And if there is a law in place, there is a requirement by law asking you to file your return of income, it is best that we abide by it.
This is so helpful for me. I never equated like a trip to Europe or US would also involve me filing my ITR on time and correctly. And even like the dreams that so many working professionals have to, one day have a home of their own. The basic step to that dream is to keep filing their taxes every single year correctly.
Absolutely.
And I hope that more and more people get to know about it and don't skip out on this very, very important step, right? Now, Megha, this brings me to the other side of this question, right? We know the benefits of filing ITR, but what are the consequences, the negative things that if people don't file ITR, which some of us do, uh, what happens to us? What happens to people who don't file ITR?
All right. First and foremost, again, very simply put, if you're not filing your ITR on time, then there is, a penalty, of course. So if you have any outstanding tax dues, in that case, you will have to pay penalty, or simply for not filing your ITR also, you may have to pay the penalty. Now, this penalty also will depend upon what is the amount of your tax due. So it can range from 1,000 to 5,000 rupees. But in certain cases, you could also be legally prosecuted. So not only does it become a civic crime, it also gets you into a criminal charge. All right. So one, it is best we avoid those. Secondly, as we mentioned, if you're not filing your ITRs for a long period of time, then if you're applying for a loan, your prospects of loan reduces because again, there is no conclusive proof. Now, with regard to a few other things, the most important thing is you will not be allowed to carry forward your losses. So this is more relevant in case of individuals who are trading in the stock market or who are investing in a stock market, or if they have sold any capital asset during the year, for example, a land or a building or any such capital asset. If you have loss from such asset and if you have not filed your return of income within such time, then you will not be allowed to carry forward this loss. Now, why is it important to carry forward the loss? Because as per the Indian tax laws, if an individual has incurred a loss, then they can carry forward the loss for either a period of 4 years or 8 years, depending upon the nature of loss. So these losses help you offset the income of the future years. So if you're not filing your return of income, you lose out on two things. One, you're not able to carry forward that loss. And as a result, in the future year, if you have a higher amount of income, then you end up paying more taxes. So you have one way incurred a loss. And on the other hand, there is also a tax leak happening because you have to pay additional taxes on the higher income. So that is the reason these are the few consequences of not filing the ITR.
Right.
Yes.
And I think it just makes a lot of sense for people who indulge in trading or even people who are having like a job. It just this answer makes me think that, why don't you file ITR? It makes complete 100% sense to file it
Shobit,
and not
I'm
wait.
not able to hear you well.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Awesome. So I am thinking that given your answer, right, Megha, it makes sense for every single person to file ITR, be them like employees, business people, people who are indulging in stock market, which we have seen since COVID. The activity has gone so much up, right? People trading stocks. So
Absolutely.
makes a lot of sense for us to do this and get this right. And in order to get this right, I think the first thing that people look for is the deadline for ITR filing. There's a big hoopla around that. So could you clarify or tell us that what are the key dates when filing for ITR for an individual?
Absolutely, yes. So for the current assessment year, that is assessment year 24-25, wherein your income for financial year 23-24 will be assessed, the due date for filing the original return of income is 31st July. So you have to file your return of income by 31st July. If you have missed the return filing deadline by 31st of July, you can file something known as a belated return. Now, the timeline for filing a belated return of income is 31st December 2024. Now, there is a step ahead. What the Indian government has done is to simplify it more for the tax users and also to help tax users who are to whom a great deal of distress is caused if they are not able to file their return of income. Then there is a utility, there's a new functionality known as an updated return of income. So for the current year, that is assessment year 24-25, an updated return can also be filed by 31st of March 2025. However, it is to be noted that if any individual here is opting to file an updated return of income, then no refunds will be allowed. An updated return can be filed only if there is a tax payable. And if you are a taxpayer to whom a large amount of refund is due, you will not be receiving that refund. Now, let me also go ahead and explain the rationale for this, because it might seem unfair to you that, okay, if I am eligible for a refund of 1 lakh, why isn't the government giving it to me? Two simple reasons. One, you were given two deadlines. You missed those. So it is a penalty of sorts that you're paying. Secondly, the reason why ITRU was enabled is, as we mentioned before, a lot of people who have to travel abroad, it is mandatory for them to submit ITRs of the 3 previous years. Or if you're applying for the loan, they will say, please submit your ITRs for 3 previous years. So if you have not filed your ITRs, then you will miss out on that visa or that loan. So the government said, okay, let me simplify that for you. Let me help you. You go ahead and file an updated return. But I also want to make sure that you don't make this a habit. You don't repeat this year after year. So if you're filing an updated ITR, I will not give out any refunds to you. At the same time, if you have a tax payable, then depending on when you're filing your ITR, I will also ask you to pay an additional penalty. So these are the consequences of an ITRU. And that is the reason we don't suggest clients to, wait for the ITRU deadline. Instead, please file the ITR by 31st of July. If you're not able to, at best, please file it by 31st December.
31st July for everybody in the audience. One, if you had one takeaway from this event, please file your taxes before 31st of July. A lot of your vacation dreams and home dreams rely on that. Please do that. I want you to travel and have a home of your own, right? I think, Megha, I keep hearing from some people that, I think you've answered it as well, but just like a recap, what really happens after 31st July if for some reason an individual is somehow not able to make it happen? Like, I just wanted to like a recap of sorts. After 31st July, can they file ITR? And just a quick recap on what will they experience?
Absolutely, yes. So if you're filing a return of income after 31st July 2024, then that will be called as a belated return. Belated meaning a return which is being filed late. So if you're filing a belated return of income, again, you can file the return of income up to 31st December 2024. However, there will be penal consequences. Depending upon what is your amount of tax due, if there is any tax due, you will end up paying either rupees 1,000 or rupees 5,000 as a penalty for filing a belated return of income. And at the same time, your ITR will be reflected as a belated ITR. So if you're filing the return of income within the deadline, it is an original return of income. If it is after the 31st July deadline, it becomes a belated return of income. And once again, if you're filing a belated return of income, the most important thing to keep in mind is a user cannot take advantage of the new tax regime. This is very, very important. If you're somebody who wants to go ahead and file their return of income under the new tax regime, it is mandatory you file your return of income by 31st July. If you're filing it after 31st of July, then you lose out on that benefit and you will have to file it under the old tax regime itself.
Just to make it clear once again, the answer is still the same. Please file your taxes before July 31st. There are ways to go about doing this after July 31st as well, but they do come with their cons. Megha, I was reading about statistics around India's tax collection, and I found out that a lot of people who do not come under the income tax bracket, they file a lot of taxes. And I've heard it before as well during my early part of the career, when I was not under like tax bracket, that please file your ITR, it's beneficial. I never really understood if I'm not eligible to pay taxes, why should I really file an ITR? What's the benefit for it?
All right. Again, so I'm taking the question in two parts. Part one is if you do not come under the tax bracket, do you still have to file a return of income? And secondly, the advantages. All right. So again, the return of income, prima facie, the thumb rule is if your income is exceeding the maximum threshold, that is rupees 250,000 for an individual, you will have to file a return of income. However, if your income is below 250,000, you do not have to file the return of income. This is the basic understanding. However, there are a lot of other terms and conditions to be taken care of. The first is if you have deposited. So these are the IT rules that I am talking about. This is not something that I have made up. It is very well given in the income tax laws. So if you're an individual who has deposited more than rupees 50 lakhs in a savings bank account, then it becomes very important. It becomes compulsory that you file a return of income. Now, there could be various scenarios why you would have deposited that amount. Let us say that you got some money from your ancestral property or you got some money in inheritance and you went ahead and deposited that in your bank account. It is a very legit reason. However, the IT law insists that if this is happening, you have to go ahead and file the return of income, even if your income is not under the tax bracket. Secondly, if you are a person who is involved in a business or a profession, in that case, if you have deposited more than 1 crore rupees in a current bank account, then filing ITR becomes mandatory. Next up, if you are an individual who has spent more than rupees 2 lakhs on foreign travel, in that case, ITR filing becomes mandatory. On the other hand, if you are an individual who has paid electricity bill of more than rupees 1 lakh for a particular financial year, then again, filing the return of income becomes mandatory. Then lastly, if the tax deducted at source against your PAN or the tax collected at source is more than 25,000 rupees in any particular financial year, in that case as well, the filing of return becomes mandatory. So these are the few cases wherein although your income, you may claim that your income is less than the limit not chargeable to tax. If you satisfy any of these conditions that I've just discussed, filing the return of income becomes mandatory.
What a base underline I'm taking away from this is, please file your taxes if you're under those conditions. Even if your income is not coming over the tax bracket, there are benefits. Please do that. If your employees are under such conditions, we would really suggest ask them to file your taxes this year. Megha, coming to like a different POV, right? We have an audience of HR experts, HR admins, right? And a simple question becomes that how does it benefit the HR if their employees file taxes on time, right? What about, some of HRs, they really, take care of employees' holistic well-being, including the financial well-being as well. Is it that case or is it something different?
Shobit, yes, one of the cases, absolutely, as you pointed out, the financial well-being of the employees. It is always good as an organization if, your employees are on the right side of the law. Secondly, what we have seen, especially in the recent years, this provision was there all along, but this is something that we've been seeing in the recent years. So if an employee of yours is not being filing return of income, then there is a provision under the Income Tax Act wherein a notice can also be sent to the employer seeking information. So let us say you're the HR of the company and there are certain employees who have not been filing return of income regularly and they've been employed with you for a few number of years. In that case, the notice can also come to you. So you as an employer become obligated to respond to the notice, because the notice is directly addressed to you and they will ask details of those employees. They will say, okay, we want you to submit these details with respect to the employees. And the details that are asked for are usually the Form 16 and any other information that are readily available with the company. So as the HR of the company, it becomes pertinent that you motivate your employees and you encourage them to file the return of income. So not only for their financial well-being, but also to avoid legal and compliance costs from your end. Because as an HR, if you're receiving notices on behalf of your employees, then you also will have to hire legal help so that you can respond to the notices. So it is a win-win for all if the employee is filing the return of income on time.
Right. HR people, good people of HR, it makes sense for you to help your employees file taxes on time. I think Megha's answer is very unanimous. I don't want to scare
Shobit,
anybody. Yeah.
if I may interrupt you, there's another thing that I want to, mention, add
Right.
here. And this is something that we've seen in the past year. Again, this is something which is being picked up now. The provision was always there, but then seeing the way returns are being filed, another trend that we've noticed is a lot of times when the employee of the organization is not claiming the right deductions, or if, the IT department sees a big gap or a mismatch between the numbers quoted in Form 16 in terms of the tax deductions vis-a-vis the numbers quoted in the ITR of the employees. Then again, a direct notice is also sent to the employers seeking details of the deduction. And this becomes a bit of an issue because again, the employer is also held liable, because then they also, take the employers to task asking, why is your employee doing this? And I'm not sure if you're aware of the news. There were a lot of, news articles last year wherein a lot of employees from big tech firms were fired for indulging in such malpractices. So here again, it becomes important for the HR to create that awareness between amidst their employees to say that please go ahead and claim the right amount of deductions, or the deductions for which you can justify the amounts that you've claimed by proofs, by investment receipts. Otherwise, the income tax department has various ways to find out these details, and one of the avenues is they go ahead and reach out to the employers first.
I'm not going to be afraid to say I feel a little scared right now, but thank you for that. I think a very, very, very important point. Uh, it makes sense for our HR attendees to educate their employees to file taxes on time. It will not only be a financial benefit to their employees, but also they will avoid any sort of a compliance issue. So please go ahead and help your employees file your taxes. One thing I want to remind uh, for our attendees is in case you have any questions during this webinar, you can go ahead to the QA section and just write down your question. Anybody raising their hand, if you have question, just go to the Q&A section and put up your question. We will take this up, right? Coming to the next question, Megha, it's I'm not sure how should I ask you this. It's a question coming from a maybe a little lazy perspective. Is it necessary for an individual to file their taxes, mandatory for an individual to file their taxes on their own, or someone else can do it on their behalf? It feels like, yeah.
No, I
It's a very
completely get
real
that
question.
sentiment, Shobit, because again, taxes are something that scares the hell out of an individual. So sometimes I've heard that people are not afraid of death, but they are afraid of taxes. So yes, it is not compulsory that as an individual, you yourself have to do the return filing. You can always take help of an expert. You can connect with a CA, a chartered accountant. That chartered accountant can help you file your return of income. All you have to give is provide all the details. Then there are a lot of online platforms that help you file the return of income. ClearTax being one of them. We also help individuals file the return of income and ease their burden. So yes, short answer, no. An individual is not required to, file the return of income themselves. They can always reach out to experts.
Understood. Understood. Thank God for that. And I think I just had this question on the topic of filing taxes. What are the documents required for filing of an ITR in case there are like a simple 1, 2, 3, 4 things that everybody should be aware of when they're filing their ITR?
Absolutely. So if you're a salaried employee, then the first and the foremost thing that you will require to file your return of income is your Form 16. Apart from your Form 16, you will also require Form 26AS. Now, Form 26AS is the proof of deduction of taxes, while Form 16 is the proof of income. Besides that, if you're an individual who is trading in the stock market or investing and you have encashed some of your investments, in that case, a capital gain statement becomes necessary. The last document that is mandatorily required is the annual information statement, or the AIS. Now, AIS can be obtained by every individual by logging into their IT portal. So AIS is a summary statement of all the income against an individual's PAN. Now, you may wonder, how will all the data get populated there? So as I mentioned before, the IT department has various avenues to figure out from where is your income coming? What are your sources of income? So AIS is a utility or a document wherein whoever is your income provider, for example, your employer, if you're getting dividend, then the company who is giving out dividend to you, if you're getting interest, then the bank giving out interest to you, they have to report all these incomes which is coming your way. So this data is compiled from external sources. So AIS will have all those details. So primarily, these are the 4 documents a salaried individual will require. Besides that, depending on what are your income streams, there may be other documents which are required. For example, if you have missed out declaring a certain amount of tax investments at the time of HR declaration, then whatever are the investment proofs that you have, you may have to submit that to your CA or the expert who is helping you file the return of income.
Understood. Understood. I wanted to understand one more thing around this topic, where what are the most common mistakes that you've seen people do, when they file their ITR, just so people in the audience can for sure avoid those.
Yes. So the first and foremost, the most common error that I have seen is people often tend to miss out on declaring all the income. Again, most of the filers, especially, the salaried class filers, they think, okay, I have declared my salary income and that is enough. But then that is never enough. As I mentioned, you may have certain dividends. You will certainly have interest from savings bank account or interest from FDs. A lot of people tend to forget that. All right. So if you have misreport, so that becomes misreporting of income. Although unintentional, it is a violation. So that is the most common mistake I have seen. The second most common mistake is people don't know which ITR form they have to file. So as an individual, you may end up filing either ITR 1, 2, 3, or 4. A lot of people don't know how to distinguish between these 4 ITRs and which ITR is applicable for them. Besides this, the most common mistake that I have seen amongst salaried class employees is that if they have switched job between the year, then a lot of times they forget to disclose their income from one of their employers. More often than not, it is the previous employer. So people tend to miss out on that. Secondly, people tend to select the wrong assessment year. So the current assessment year for which we will be filing the return of income as of 31st July is assessment year 24-25. But a lot of times people end up selecting the wrong assessment year. Then as we proceed, let us say people have filled all the details correctly. But at the time of tax payable, if there's a tax payable, once again, people end up selecting the wrong challan or the wrong heads. So again, if you're paying taxes, there are major and minor heads selection to be made. People end up selecting the wrong heads because they don't know what is the right head. Or again, at the time of paying the taxes, people end up selecting wrong assessment years. And this, if I have to give you in terms of data, what is the percentage? The percentage is anywhere between 50 to 60%. So if an individual is filing the return of income on their own, 50 to 60% of the filers end up making any one of these errors. So yeah, these are the, most common mistakes that I've seen.
A scary number that the number is so up high when it comes to filing taxes and errors. I think it goes into that cliche, right? People, like you were saying, some people are more afraid of filing taxes than they're of their death. It just, makes sense and does not make sense at the same time. I wanted to take one question I think we've already picked up and wanted to reinforce from the Q&A that we have open, right? So Priyanka Dash is asking, if our income does not file within the taxable bracket, is it still mandatory to file a return? If you could give a recap of your answer, I know you've already answered it, just a short, sweet recap for her.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Priyanka, thank you for the question. Yes, Priyanka, even if your income is not within the tax bracket, that is, even if your income is lesser than 2,50,000 rupees, there are certain conditions. And even if one of those conditions is applicable to you, you will have to file a return of income. The first condition is if you have deposited more than rupees 50 lakh in a savings bank account. Secondly, if you have deposited more than 1 crore rupees in a current account. Then if in a financial year, you have spent more than rupees 2 lakhs on foreign travel, or if you have paid more than rupees 1 lakh as your electricity bill, or the tax deducted at source or the tax collected at source against your PAN is exceeding rupees 25,000 in a financial year. And if you're a senior citizen, then if the TDS or TCS is exceeding 50,000, then you will have to mandatorily file a return of income.
Understood. Understood. I had a separate question, which I am not sure whether I am able to understand the question myself, right? Is it necessary to file a return of income when an individual does not have any positive income? So what does like positive income mean here?
Yes. So here, Shobit, the question here is if an individual is having losses. So if you don't have a positive income, that implies that you have a negative income. Negative income meaning you have losses. So yes, it is very important. In fact, it is compulsory that you go ahead and file your return of income if you have a negative income. Because if you remember earlier on, we had this discussion wherein, we were talking about the consequences of not filing an ITR. And wherein I had mentioned, if you have losses, you will not be able to carry forward those losses for the future years if you don't file an ITR. So this question, comes back to that. If you have a negative income or if you don't have a positive income, it is mandatory that you go ahead and file a loss return. So whenever an individual has a negative income, they file a loss return wherein they declare their losses. And depending upon the nature of loss that you have, you can carry forward such loss for a period of 4 to 8 years. All right. So in the future years, whatever income you have, you can offset such income with the losses that you have incurred. This will help you to bring down your tax liability significantly. And another caveat here, if you're carrying forward any loss, you will again have to see various conditions for the loss to be set off in the future years. So that is again a very vast area, but then just giving a heads up to all your attendees here.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Megha, I think when I was looking at these questions, one more thing was coming out uh, again and again. When Form 16 comes out, it's not in control of employees, right? Sometimes with some companies, it gets really, really delayed, right? So in those circumstances, when Form 16 is getting delayed by quite a bit, maybe very, very close to our deadline, July 31st, right? Just a quick recap of what you already said. What happens when people are filing after July 31st? They have the Form 16 very late in their hands.
Sure. Shobit, so again, if an individual is filing their return of income after the deadline, which is 31st July, it will be called as a belated return of income. So an individual can go ahead and file a belated return of income by paying a small penalty of either 1,000 or 5,000, depending upon what the tax payable is. All right. However, if you're filing a belated return of income as an individual, you will not be allowed to file the return of income under the new tax regime. You will have to opt for the old tax regime itself.
Understood. And I think this tax regime has also stumped a lot of people when they want to choose the old one, when they want to choose the new one. I know it comes with a lot of
Shobit, I'm
context.
not able to hear you well.
Are you able to hear me now better? Is it any better?
Yeah, this is better.
Yeah. So when it comes to choosing the tax regime, old or new, right, it has caused a lot of confusion in people because, people are not aware of what the consequences could be. So if you had to educate our audience in a very sort of a simplistic manner, what would your answer be?
Sure. All right. So at the outset, I would like to give out one clarification, one caveat. All right. There is no hard and fast rule. There is no straitjacket formula to determine which regime is more beneficial. So today you reach out to any expert and if you tell them, okay, listen, my income is so and so, nobody will be able to tell you that, okay, this regime is more beneficial. Because again, the choice of regime is very unique to each and every individual. It depends on what your total income is, what are your streams of income, do you have any losses, and what are the tax deductions that you're availing. However, what we have seen for salaried individual, especially whose income is in the bracket, let us say 20 to 25 or 25 to 30 lakhs, is if you're an individual who is savings intensive, that means you have made a lot of tax saving investments. You have invested in EPF, pension, ELSS, etc. And you're utilizing the tax benefits given. All right, in that case, the old regime may be more beneficial for you. However, on the other hand, if you're an individual who is expenditure intensive, you do not have a lot of savings and you have a lot of expenditure, or you have just started out in your career and you're getting a fresher salary, in that case, the new regime may be more beneficial for you. So this is what we have seen up to the income limit of say 25 to 30 lakhs. But beyond this, again, it is important that you reach out to a tax professional, lay down all your income streams, your losses, if any, and your deductions. And once we analyze all of those, we will be able to help you understand which regime is more beneficial.
Thank you so much, Megha. I think it's a very relevant question and a very relevant answer as well. There is no one size fit all for this question. Just reiterating, please reach to a tax expert. They will be able to help you choose given what conditions you have uniquely as an individual, right? And I think this reminds me of something relevant. In the beginning of the presentation, I had told you that we promise to make it more actionable, right? And we want to fulfill on this promise. Uh, we basically at greytHR have thought about what can we do to help our customers from filing more taxes to uh, any sort of problems they have or things that they do repeatedly. So in order to do that, we've made a marketplace. This marketplace is basically uh, called Unite. Just one second, I'm just having slight technical issues while sharing my screen. Megha or Amal, let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, yes. We are able to see the screen, Shobit.
Okay. All right. Good. So coming back to this, greytHR has made Unite Marketplace. It's basically a B2B marketplace made up of over 25 trusted applications that HR people and employees use the most frequently. So as an example, there are tax filing apps like ClearTax. We also have background verification apps, and we also have group insurance, just as an example. You must be thinking, what's the benefit of using Unite and why is it relevant for me right now as an HR? So to give you a quick recap, so we wanted to make sure that whatever application that you're using, in other tabs or in other places, you get access to them in the comfort of greytHR, all in one place. We've made sure all these apps, their security is checked and their UI is also checked. So you don't have to worry about it being non-user friendly or not secure. We have done that for you. And the most important thing is we want to increase your productivity. So gone are the days where you had to copy paste data from one place to another. With Unite, we are sending data from greytHR automatically in the backend to the apps that you're using. So you get more free time and you can utilize it for more productive means. How does it work, this Unite marketplace? It's pretty simple. Uh, there are 3 steps that you need to do. The first step is you need to accept the terms and conditions to enter the marketplace in order to access it. Once you're inside the marketplace, you just browse the app or the category that you want a solution for. In this event, we've been talking about tax. So we have a relevant app called ClearTax. So you go there, you read the profile of the app, you evaluate it, and in order to use it, you have to enable it. Once you enable it, you can start using the app. One question that we keep getting for this marketplace is it free to use? Yes. A simple answer, yes, it's completely free to use. And only you have to pay when you're dealing with an individual app to the app itself. Now I want to talk a little bit more about benefits of using the ClearTax app within the Unite marketplace. The first major benefit, we've made sure that filing taxes for you is as easy as possible for you and for your employees. A lot of data gets easily transmitted from one app to the other. Your Form 16 data is automatically downloaded and pre-filled in your tax filing forms, and you just can do the tax filing process in flat 3 minutes. We made sure that the entire user interface is very, very easy to use. So no problems of getting confused about how to file taxes. That is not going to be a problem that you face with this solution. A major attractive point is the exclusive discounts ClearTax is offering to great HR customers and their employees. There are discounts of up to 65% on tax filing fee if you go through this way while filing your ITR. One additional point for enhanced accuracy is ClearTax has been used by millions of Indians to file taxes for a very long period of time. When you're using this method to file your taxes, you can be assured there is no mistake happening and you can get your refund in order as well. Just to make it clear, we are seeing a lot of traction from people, our customers who are using this app. There's a company called Valgenesis, which their employees basically filed their ITR through Unite's ClearTax app, and they saw a remarkable 67% reduction in individual costs, which is truly commendable, right? This is what we want to see when people use ClearTax inside greytHR. I promise to make this webinar more interactive, and this is a time where we want to launch another poll. So Bremi, if you could help me launch poll number 2. I think the poll is now live for everybody to see. The question is pretty simple. Would you like to help your employees file taxes through Unite's ClearTax app? Would love for you to answer this question. Unite has been a labor of love. We would love to help every single HR present in the audience make this as simple, as easy for their employees to do this. Reiterating the fact, for an HR admin or a company, it's completely free. They don't have to pay anything while enabling this app for their employees. Only their employees, while filing taxes, pay tax filing fee to ClearTax, and there are massive discounts running on top of that. Just please take some moment to answer this question, and then we'll go to a very important question. All right. I think majority, I feel very happy to know that the majority want to help their employees through this medium. And I have a question for Megha. Megha, if you could come back in.
Yes, sure.
So Megha, this is a little bit of a devil's sort of an approach, devil's advocate approach, where I've been hearing that our income tax portal basically has gotten much, much better for people to file their income tax, right? So going through this route, going through ClearTax, are there any tangible benefits, something that separates why people should opt for this route?
Absolutely, yes, Shobit. So again, talking about why ClearTax, when, in fact, the IT portal has become so seamless and it has become so easy for an individual to file their return of income. So here are, my 2 cents on this. Firstly, if an individual is filing their return of income on the IT portal, they will not get a sense of, if they have missed out any deductions, they will not know that. For example, you may not know that, okay, you can still go ahead and claim a certain deduction. And the IT portal does not, redirect or does not prompt a user to, take up those deductions. Because again, the IT portal is something that is run by the government and they want that revenue from you. However, on the other hand, if you're filing through ClearTax, there will be constant prompts, especially when you are on the tax deduction sheet or the tax deduction tab. The app itself will prompt a user. We have questions that will be directed at users by way of pop-up, so that the users also get reminded that, okay, yes, these are the deductions I can go ahead and claim. These are the exemptions I can claim. All right, that is one. Secondly, if at any point in time you're stuck, then we always have expert at your fingertips. You can go ahead and connect with an in-house expert and we will help you do that. And if you're filing on the IT portal, again, you have to fill in all the fields manually by yourself. But then this year we have introduced a revamped product wherein what happens is, as soon as you upload any form, be it your form 16, your form 26AS, or for that matter, even your capital gain statement, all you have to do is upload that on our software, and all the data will be automatically parsed and calculated. So for the user, it becomes very easy. Everything is populated. All you have to do is check the numbers in the end, if the calculation is done or not. Lastly, and the most important thing, when you're preparing the return on our software, automatically the software picks up the regime which is more beneficial for you. So earlier on, we were discussing this question, which regime is more beneficial? So again, if you have that confusion and you want to test that out yourself, you fill in all the income details, all the relevant deductions that you want to claim, and then the software will do the working for you, the number crunching. And if you're still not happy, because let us say you have entered the numbers and the software picks up the new regime by default. But if you're in two minds, we also have an option wherein the user can go ahead and compare the regimes. So it is very transparent and the user gets to know, okay, if I opt for the old regime, what are the deductions? Why is the old regime not beneficial, or why has the software picked up a particular regime, either the old or the new? And the support does not just end there. Let us say once the return filing process is done, we also provide post-filing assistance. For example, if there is any communication or any clarification sought by the IT department once the return is filed, we also help users with that. So these are the benefits that one can experience if they have opted for the ClearTax platform, vis-a-vis somebody not opting it and directly doing it on the IT portal itself. And I was also going through the chat box. So I saw a user ask a question, wherein they said that they are stuck at a particular point. They are not able to fill in their balance sheet. Now, if you're a user who's directly filing it on the IT portal, you do not know what to do or how to proceed. But if you're on our platform, you can always connect with an expert and ask, okay, why is this prompt being given out to me, and what is the way forward? Why I have to do a particular thing? So these are the few reasons why a ClearTax will help a user. It will make the return filing process more easier and more seamless.
Sounds like a dream. I think I also was getting this question about Unite as well. Where can people access it? And in the beginning of the webinar, we promised that we'll make this more actionable. So I'm handing this section over to my colleague Amal, who can answer this question and show you exactly what you can do when you want to file your ITR through Unite's ClearTax application. Over to you, Amal.
Hey, thanks, Shobit. Hi, all. So today, I'll be taking you through two different journeys. One is with respect to the HR admin, and the second one is with respect to the employee. So just share my screen. Yes. So coming to the first journey, which is the HR admin journey. So I've already logged into my greytHR portal as the HR admin. So here, as you can see, there are different modules within greytHR, which you are aware of. So if you go through the leftmost pane, so on the bottom, there is Unite by greytHR. So if I click on it, as Shobit mentioned, we have got different applications integrated within this marketplace, right? These applications are beneficial for both the HR admins as well as the employees. So now, as you can see, there's ClearTax here, and I click on View Details. So everything to do with what ClearTax offers, what are the benefits for the HR admin, what are the benefits for employees are available on these tabs. And also, as Shobit mentioned, there's no cost for the employer as such. Now, as the HR admin, there are two options which you can go through. The first one is request a meeting. In case you have any clarifications or you need a demo from ClearTax to understand how to kind of go through the process of filing taxes, etc., you can request a meeting. The second one is enable. Once you click on this, I'll click on this right now. All the details with respect to your company are already pre-filled here. You don't have to do anything as such. Also, this is a permissions page. So these are standard permissions which are necessary for ClearTax to kind of function seamlessly within the greytHR platform. So I'll click on agree. I'll agree to the terms of service and click on accept and proceed. So once I do that, the application will be instantly active and the employee can go and log into the reassess portal and file taxes from there. So coming to the second journey, which is the employee journey, I'm just logging off the admin portal and I'm logging in as the employee, right? So here you have the same modules with respect to whatever is there for the employee. So here on the leftmost pane, you've got Unite by greytHR. I'll click on that. And all the applications which my HR admin has enabled for me or for the employees are available here. So ClearTax was enabled just now. I'll just click on view details. And again, it's the same app details page. What is available for the employee is everything is written here. As an employee, I'll just click on get started. And again, these are standard permissions which I'll agree to. I'll click on accept and proceed. Once I do that, I've got two options here. One is auto fetch the form 16 and the second one is manually upload form 16. So one of the benefits of going through greytHR for filing taxes via ClearTax is that you can fetch your form 16 directly from greytHR. So there's no need to kind of download form 16 and upload it separately. So that kind of hassle is kind of eliminated in this particular step. So you can either auto fetch the form 16 or upload manually. So for the purpose of this demo, I'll just upload a sample form 16. The form 16 is uploaded. I'll agree to the terms and I'll proceed. Once I do that, I'll be redirected to the ClearTax website. So all the details in the form 16 is automatically picked up by ClearTax, which is available here. And if I go down, all the plans. So there are different plans. There are self-filing plans and there are CX assisted plans. So whatever is suited for that particular user, they can select accordingly and go ahead with the tax filing process. And one of the benefits which I would like to highlight, one of the major benefits is that exclusively for greytHR customers, ClearTax is offering 65% discount. So that's one of the major benefits here. Yeah, so these are the two different journeys. One is for the HR admin and the other one is for the employee. Over to you, Shobit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amal. I think you can stop sharing your screen now. I had a relevant question in the QA. If anybody had to contact ClearTax through this route, what do they do? Where do they find that information?
So yeah, so it's there on the application page itself. I'm just going back to my screen. Yeah. So so for example, I go back to Unite. Sorry, just a second. Yeah. I'm just logging in and I'll access Unite from here. Yeah, so once I click on view details of ClearTax application, so there's a watch demo as well. There's a YouTube video which users can go through. It kind of describes how the HR admin can enable the application and also how the employee can file taxes from ClearTax. Also, there's a support section wherein if there's any issue, they can write to these particular email IDs, which is mentioned on the application. Hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Thank you so much, Amal. That really answers our question. You can stop sharing your screen now. I wanted to make a request for both Amal and Megha. We have a lot of questions in the Q&A. If it's okay, can we extend the session by 5 or 8 minutes? We can take more questions now. Would that be okay with you?
Sure.
Sure.
Amazing. So first question is for Megha. So Megha, one pattern that I saw in the Q&A was about linking Aadhaar and PAN card. People seem to have either issues doing it or they have done it and they still are facing issues. So for the uninitiated or people are facing this problem, what can they do to solve it, or what is this problem all about? If you can tell the audience about it.
Sure, Shobit. Okay, so linking PAN and Aadhaar, as we all know, was made mandatory last year, and then there were a lot of deadlines given for individuals. So now the last day to link your PAN and Aadhaar without any cost has passed. So if a individual wants to link their PAN and Aadhaar, or they want to check the status whether their PAN and Aadhaar are linked, all they have to do is they have to log into their income tax portal. Under their profile section, they can clearly see that there will be an option, and there, if there is a green tick, it indicates that your PAN and Aadhaar have been linked. If your PAN and Aadhaar have been linked, there will not be any issues. However, if it is not linked, then a user can click on the same link. It will ask for a few details. Once you've given all the details and then verify it with your OTP, then your PAN and Aadhaar will be linked, and then you can proceed with seamless filing of return of income. Now, why it is important that your PAN and Aadhaar are linked? In a lot of cases, what we've seen last year is where PAN and Aadhaar weren't linked. In that case, the users were not getting their refund. So that is the primary reason why it is very important you go ahead and do that. And for users who are still facing difficulties, that their PAN and Aadhaar have been linked and they're still facing difficulties, in my opinion, there should not be any difficulty. However, even if there is any bit of difficulty, the users can go ahead and raise a grievance with the income tax department. Again, the process for raising the grievance is very, very simple. On your IT portal itself, on the dashboard, there is an app, or there is an option, grievance. Please click on grievance. Just elaborate on your grievance. What is the grievance that you're facing? Attach the screenshot. Give the income tax department about 7 to 10 working days, and they will definitely revert to you with a solution. What is to be done, or if there is nothing to be done, they will still revert to you saying that, you don't have any trouble, please go ahead.
Understood. Understood. That was a really helpful answer, Megha. I'm sure that will resolve a lot of headaches for people who are undergoing this particular issue. My next question is for Amal. One of the questions that we got in the Q&A is somebody asked, can this discount be used for people who are like family members of the employee? The offer is so irresistible, it seems that, other people also want to use this offer. Is it possible?
No, it is specifically for greytHR clients and obviously the employees of the clients. So the coupon code is applicable only for them.
Understood. Understood. And I think my next question is for Megha. Megha, if you could come back on
Yes.
something around LIC policy. It's a very, very specific question. Let me know if we can take this up.
Sure, we can.
So Murali asks that can we show LIC policy for 1 lakh rupee, which I took from last year, 2023, for 12 years from now in deduction and claim any amount?
All right. Is this question by Mr. Murli?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Murli. Thank you for the question. So let me, take a minute to tell you more about the LIC deductions. So if you've taken a LIC policy, whatever is the premium that you're paying, that is tax deductible. However, you need to keep in mind that this LIC policy must have been taken either for yourself, your spouse, or your children only, your dependent children. If you've taken this LIC policy for any other member, then whatever is the premium payable, that will not be allowed as a deduction. And as regards, the number of years. So whichever is the year in which you're making the premium payment, the deduction will be allowed for that financial year. I hope that answers your question.
All right. I think if Mr. Murali has any question, we can revert back to him post this webinar is over as well. I have another question for you, Megha. Somebody asked if I downloaded 26AS from the IT website just to check the TDS, then will I have to mandatorily file ITR?
Yes, if there is TDS, as I mentioned earlier, if you have a TDS or a TCS of more than 25,000 and rupees 50,000, if you're a senior citizen, then filing the return of income becomes mandatory.
Understood. I'm just looking at more questions. Megha, in case you want to pick any one of them, you can pick as well.
Sure.
One more question that I'm seeing is from Narsimha. Can we pay tax for interest from bank accounts if they fail to pay before 31st?
Shobit, if you could please read out that question again.
I will. Can we pay tax for interest from bank accounts if they fail to pay before 31st?
If they fail to, all right. So again, Mr. Narasimha, taxation of interest on savings bank account is slightly different. If you are an individual who is below the age of 60 years, then interest on savings bank account up to rupees 10,000 is tax deductible. That is to say, you do not have to pay any taxes on income on savings bank interest up to rupees 10,000. All you have to do is disclose the amount of interest and the same will be picked up as a deduction automatically. Now, as regards, your question, what if you don't know the amount of interest? So if you're confused as to what is the amount of interest that you've received from your bank, you can always reach out to your bank and ask them to give you an interest certificate. Or if you have the banking app, then on the banking app, all the banks have this provision wherein you can go ahead and download a one-pager interest certificate. Now, this interest certificate is a summary of all the interest that you have earned from that bank from various sources. So let us say you have a account in ABC Bank and you have invested in FDs and RDs in that bank and you have bank accounts in two separate branches in two different parts of the country. But this interest certificate will consolidate all your accounts, all your holdings with the bank and give out details of all the interest that you have earned. So you can use this interest certificate to file your return of income. Alternatively, you can also make use of your 26AS because if your interest income in certain cases is exceeding a certain threshold, then TDS requirements will have to be complied with. So 26AS is another source from where you can determine your savings bank interest or your FD interest as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your answer, Megha. I have one last question, hopefully, for you. If Vishwanathan asks, if a senior citizen has an income in FDs and RDs, then is it mandatory to file return? If yes, then what are the conditions?
All right. So if, again, the senior citizen, again, as we discussed, the return filing requirements. So when does filing of return become mandatory? So irrespective of whether a person is a non-senior citizen, senior citizen, or a super senior citizen. Super senior is a person who is above the age of 80 years. If they satisfy few criterias, that is, they've deposited more than rupees 50 lakh in their savings bank account or more than 1 crore in their current bank account, etc., then return filing becomes mandatory. So again, it does not matter what is your income stream. If you are, falling under the bracket, let us say you spent more than rupees 2 lakh on foreign travel, then filing the return of income becomes mandatory, irrespective of your status, whether you're a non-senior, senior, or super senior.
Understood. Thank you so much for your answer, Megha. I think we have taken a lot of questions, we have extended our limits, and even then there are so many people still, in the webinar shows that, how much value you and Amal have been able to, give to the audience. I'm just going to wrap this event by thanking Megha. Thank you so much for all your knowledge and all your answers. It was so easy to understand, even for a person like me who does not get taxes at all. Post the session, I understand a little bit more about taxes, and I'll be able to tell my friends about it as well. And thank you, Amal, as well. Please switch on your camera. Let me thank you to your face. Thank you for showing, all the wonderful people attending how to go about using ClearTax through Unite as easily as possible. One thing that I want to say is we still have a lot of questions left, right? So how do we go about doing it? How do we answer them? For any questions that we have left out of answering, we will reach out back to you with answers. In case you have any more queries, you can reach out to me personally. My email ID is mentioned on the screen and shobit@creative.com. If you have any questions about your ITR process, if you have any questions about Unite is somehow not able to be visible for you, we will help you file taxes and we will help your employees file taxes this tax season as well. Thank you so much for your attendance and participation. We loved talking about this topic, and Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, Megha. Thank you, Amal, and thank you for the audience.
Thank you, everyone.
We will wrap up the event now. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.